Chris, it's been kind of watch list season. It's been preseason list, preseason All-American, top 25 season. On3 doing something a little bit new now, man. They just put out the On3 top 25, which I kind of wondered why we at On3 were not doing this, and now I see that we are doing this, because when you start talking about guys like, Andy Staples, Chris Lowe, Brett McMurphy, just veterans of the game, sort of being all under one roof, it just makes sense to do your own top 25. And so they popped out the On3 top 25 this week. From a South Carolina perspective, it seems like this is going to be the trend for the Gamecocks this year going into the season before they can prove otherwise. The old others receiving votes category. AP will put theirs out, I think, on Monday the 17th. I would guess Gamecocks and others receiving votes category for that as well. Assuming the receiving votes category was in order, they didn't say it was, but assuming it is on the On3 list, South Carolina, I'm actually a little bit surprised they weren't a little bit higher than this, Chris. 37th in the country via the On3 team. And I think we're starting to get a consensus on who maybe the top 5 or so teams are in terms of at least what people think. Ohio State, number 1 for On3, Oregon 2, Texas 3, Georgia 4, Notre Dame 5, Indiana 6, Miami 7. That's where I draw a line, Chris. I think I draw a line after the top 7. Because once I start talking about 8, Oklahoma, 9, Ole Miss, 10, A&M, 11, Texas Tech, I have a lot more questions than I do for that top 7. Not that everybody in the top 7, Chris, is elite or infallible or can't be beaten. I think there are questions within the top 7, but I think there's a clear line of demarcation when I'm talking about how I feel about Miami versus how I may feel about Oklahoma.
Yeah. I'm not sure where I draw the line yet, because you're right. No, like, none of those teams are infallible. Like, you go to Indiana. They've got, far be it from me to bet against Kurt Cignetti, right? And actually, all of those top 7 teams received at least 1 vote for first place, right? Texas actually got 4 votes.
Except, ironically, for Ohio State.
What you mean?
You said they all received a first place vote?
Yeah.
Ohio State did not receive a first place vote.
Oh.
Even though they finished.
Yes, they finished number 1. Yeah. Yeah. That's really fascinating. Huh.
I don't even know how, I don't know how they count these things up.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was possible.
I didn't know that was possible either.
But it is.
I guess it ended up that way. Yes. I assumed they just didn't put that because Ohio State was number 1. But yes, I did not get as much into the fine print as you did. So good point. But, like, you look at Indiana, they have added, Turbo Richard from Rock Hill. They've added back a couple players. One of them, Stephen Daly, who was an absolute hoss for them last year. Kellen Wyatt. They got Josh Hoover, who was Kendall Brow's quarterback last year. Charlie Becker's back. Like, they got Kurt Cignetti. Probably going to be really good. And they kind of get the benefit of the doubt because they won it all last year and ran through everybody. They also lost the Heisman Trophy winner, You look at Oklahoma, they were really good, kind of go down to number 8. Oklahoma, they were really, really good. And now you've got John Mateer playing with, both hands to where he wasn't last year. Ole Miss, you've got the Lane Kiffin to Pete Golding handoff, but they've got a couple of the best players in the country back. So I don't know, like I might draw the line a little bit lower. Like, I might cut it off after like 10 or 11, just my personal opinion. I do think the ones in the top 5 to 6 are probably a little bit higher than the others, maybe even that top 7, but I could talk myself into getting a little bit farther down there. one other thing that stands out, Wes, about South Carolina being in that, like, we've seen a lot of the others receiving votes to take it locally to South Carolina. That's interesting to me because, a lot of times you go 4-8. We talk about all the time about it's kind of based on what you did last year. Like, you look at where South Carolina's ranked in the SEC and the preseason media poll. A lot of it is what did you do last year? Well, people are not giving South Carolina, like, in these top 25 others receiving votes category. There's not a consensus that South Carolina, you're 4-8 last year. It sounds about right for this year. Like, there's a recognition that this team had some close games last year that didn't go their way, that they underachieved relative probably to the talent level, that they brought back a lot of talent, that they added some, and that they've revamped their coaching staff. So I think we're kind of seeing them get a little bit of credit, for those things in some of these top 25 rankings. Not that they matter. Doesn't matter at the end of the day. If you want to have the type of season, if you're going to have the type of season that you want to have, you obviously not only have to be in the top 25, you got to be higher up in it. You got to be in that top half. But I just thought that was interesting that some people are buying stock in South Carolina being, having a substantially better year than last year. And I think it's based on all the offseason moves that happen.
Yeah, no, for sure. Now I think once you start, and again, the on three does not, like, do you assume the others receiving votes is in order as well? Because
I did, but I don't know.
On the, what was the coaches poll, they put the number of votes they received in parentheses, so then you can kind of, for sure, and you count it out. If you're talking about 37, for an SEC school, you're definitely saying I still see questions here. If you have an SEC, if you start talking about getting potentially towards the 40s, but also even the fact that you have almost 40 teams receiving votes tells me that nobody knows what the heck is going to happen, that there's the potential for any number of outcomes this year because the talent has gotten just so spread out once we've started getting into, a number of years of this current portal/NIL era that we're in. And, interestingly enough, you have Auburn a couple of spots ahead of South Carolina on this thing. You have, Clemson right outside the top 25. I think they were inside the top 25 in the coaches poll, even though there are a lot of questions about Clemson going into this year. So I do think there's a point too on that list where, dude, you could just throw everybody in a bag and shake it up and pull out a team, and you would have just as good a chance as being right as maybe if you were actually trying to project the thing. Like, I mean, who knows what these teams with new coaches and like 40 transfers are going to look like this year.